I didn't realize that prison had a rape section and a non-rape section. I'm Jackie.
Duke gets some boobies tattooed on his back. Justice. I'm Justin.
Eat shit, Eastwood. This is my lawn. I'm Charles Bronson, and this is Kinjite, Forbidden Subjects on Stinker Madness.
Hello, welcome to Stinker Madness, the podcast for bad movie lovers by bad movie lovers. I am your host, Justin Jackie. This week on the podcast, currently streaming on Amazon Prime, from 1989, canon movie starring Charlie Bronson, of course, directed by J. Lee Thompson, and it's called Kinjite, Forbidden Subjects. Sam, go to you.
So this is the end of a long collaboration of filmmakers that starts with St. Ives, which I feel like they feel that they really captured a magic with St. Ives. And I need to go back and watch that the second it becomes sort of affordably available. This movie has been on my radar because it was the same way. I've been trying to actually find an affordable way to see this, and it finally came on Prime. There's a reason why it's been unavailable other than bootlegs and things, because it was heavy, I guess. It's heavy now. It was super heavy then.
The subject is, the movie itself may not be, though. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the end sequence is a Borderlands level boss. It is. It's a canon movie. And I mean, that's where these guys ended up, is that they worked together for a long time, and then they got on this gravy train, because quite a few of their movies they did together were for canon, and it was basically Charlie's like, hey guys, these folks don't really watch too much about what we're doing, so we can do whatever. Yep. And they did. And they were all aging. They were very age-ed when they got on the canon gravy train. And this is the last one. This is like, I think this shit grape's finally out of juice. Let's squeeze it for what it's got.
Charles Bronson was 68 in the making of this film.
And I think it works. Like, that's one of the main criticisms this film receives, is that he's too old to play this cop. And I'm like, he's pretty much the right age to play this cop.
Well, he would have to be retired. I don't think you can cop forever. I think that you get pushed out.
Make him a PI.
Yeah.
With a checkered past, it still works. The character works, right? Okay. Whether or not he's forced out by LAPD, Vice, do they fucking force people out of Vice? That's the thing.
The
like,
whole plot
Vice
of
is one
Speed,
of the...
Sam. They give you a gold watch and a pension. Well, now I'm going to blow everybody up.
Yeah, but they weren't working Vice. That's the thing. It's hard to get anybody to work Vice because this is what fucking happens at Vice.
Right?
This is their fucking job. Another, like, one of the criticisms at the time that this is happening is the racism, I guess, was too much. His character was too racist, and he's like, said something like, what does that have to do with little girls' skirts? And then walks off like, if that's what you took from this movie, I'm smashing your face into the bar. I'll cover the cost of the nachos. His face covered the cost of your bar. Like, fuck you. Like, that's what you got out of this? Because that part of it is somewhat, like, he even states, like, I'm too racist for this assignment. And then does his job anyway. Like, there's so much bad shit that happens in it that, like, whoever got focused on that and asked the question, he should have said, okay, I'm walking off because you missed a bunch. You missed a bunch of worse shit.
Right. Yeah, we'll get into his racism as well. It's so weird. I mean, no, I'll save it for the end. The recommendations. This is a weird movie. I'm not even sure if it is a movie. I don't think it qualifies.
Something.
If you need to make a checklist of, like, does it do this, and this to define something as a film, I don't know if this does. It's just wandering cutscenes.
Yeah, no, there's really, like, you got J. Lee Thompson, who was on the front end of the social realist movement. I mean, yes, J. Lee Thompson did some kind of bad, I think, Bronson movies at the end there with canon, but you're also looking at a guy that won 3 BAFTAs on one movie.
He directed The Guns of Navarone.
And Cape
Fear. And also King Solomon's Mines and Messenger of Death, 2 Stinker Madness movies.
Yes,
now
exactly.
on 3.
But he did Ice Cold and Alex won 3 BAFTAs. And a woman in a dressing gown basically cleaned house at the 7th annual Berlin Film Fest. And he directed 45 movies. This is a guy, and he's old. This is the last movie he does. It's the last movie they do together. Pancho Koner is a pretty working producer that hitched onto the wagon. He actually worked 10 movies with Bronson, whereas Jay Lee only worked 9, but they all three did the sort of the run of 9 that Bronson and Jay Lee did together. The one that they do think it catches the magic, though, is St. Ives. That's what they get. However, critics would think that the next one, White Buffalo, is sort of their best hoorah together, the Western that they had done.
Yeah, which is a weird movie as well, because it's Wild Bill Hickok teaming up with Crazy Horse, which is a strange concept.
It's a strange movie, but especially ex post facto, like 30 years or 40 years later or whatever, people are like, wow, that's a wild movie. You should check it out.
It's almost like Bubba Hotep-esque. Like,
only better.
The plot is they're going to take down a killer albino buffalo. Wild Bill and Crazy Horse. It's like Bubba Hotep weird.
It's really sort of like a movie form of Alan Moore's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen graphic novel.
Right.
In terms of its weirdness and its wildness. Because the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie gets nowhere near what the graphic novel does, but White Buffalo sort of does.
Let's go to you, Jackie. I think you were absent for both Sam's Charles Bronson rundown and Messenger of Death, which I think was just Sam and I. Where are you on Charles Bronson?
Well, I don't really think of him at all.
You are nowhere on Charles Bronson.
Yeah, he's not even on my radar, guys.
Okay.
I'm like, I recognize that guy, and you're like, Charles Bronson, and I was thinking he was some kind of hot, steamy mess, and then the main character comes on, I'm like, oh, that's not who I was thinking of.
Huh.
I don't know who the hell this guy is. This must be Charles Bronson.
The man that looks like he should be perched on top of a building to scare off birds.
Yep. But he's 68, right? Like Charles Bronson in Hard Times, that's a slab of meat right there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think anything of him.
Well, yeah, I mean, you did. I think you did Death Wish, the first one. I know. I thought you saw that.
Nope, that was just you and me because she wanted no part of it, and you were like falling asleep halfway through it.
All right, you had to watch some Charlie Bronson movie with us at some point.
I think I probably did, but I don't think about him.
He just doesn't enter your existence.
No.
That is a fair statement. I can't be like, what? Or you're wrong, buddy.
I mean, I think he did a good job on this film.
Okay.
Oh, did you watch it?
Yeah, I did.
that I'm going to question.
He's an excellent guy with starting fires.
Yeah, right.
That's what I think about him. He knows how to start a fucking fire.
What he said about why he liked to work with J. Lee Thompson is most directors will make you do stuff at least 3 times. J. Lee, he only makes me do it twice. I mean, shit, I'm Charles Bronson. What else are you going to get?
He's a bit of a wet blanket.
Charles Bronson? Oh, yeah.
My characters are burning on the inside.
Okay.
You're supposed to take a deeper dive into what's going on the internals of the character, not focus so much on the actual outside thing that is called acting.
Focusing on the guy who's just standing there.
Charles Bronson's not exactly I wouldn't exactly say he's Nicholas Coppola by any means.
No, definitely doesn't have range.
Reserved would be would be a generous compliment. Okay, who else we got? We got Peggy Lipton in this.
Peggy Lipton, who I guess was known for Mod Squad, but now I guess she's just Rashida Jones's mom.
She was married to Quincy Jones and birthed Rashida Jones. I had no idea Rashida Jones was the child of Quincy Jones. I had no idea that Peggy Lipton was married to Quincy Jones. Like,
that Rashida Jones is the child of Quincy Jones and Peggy Lipton. That's a thing that happened on Earth.
How is Rashida Jones not like Princess of America?
I don't know, because she's too level-headed.
Yeah, maybe. Like, what the hell?
does good things with her life, and she acts when she's funny. There's no bad words I could say about her. She is
zero.
just something else.
I know that this doesn't exist, but if Paul Rudd and Rashida Jones made a super baby, it would take over the world, but it wouldn't, because it would be too nice and charming and funny and good looking.
Well, no, she'd have to have a super baby with somebody else that had like different polar qualities to make another Rashida Jones, like a rocket scientist or something like that.
Yeah, that would be too much nice, good looking person if it was a Rudd Jones team up. It would be like
they're private.
It would become Dr. Manhattan. It would be too perfect, and it would have to live on Mars by itself because it would become bored with humankind.
Yeah.
Okay, we are talking about a Charles Bronson movie here, right?
Yeah, we got Perry Lopez from Chinatown plays his partner. James Pax, who's in a lot of things, but you'll remember him as the lightning guy from Big Trouble in Little China. Plays the father. Juan Fernandez is in a lot of movies, but we only remember him as the bad guy from Crocodile Dundee 2,
right?
Yeah,
2. Mm-hmm.
And then Cy Richardson, his partner, is in fucking everything, but you probably remember him from Repo Man.
Bob Saget shout out.
Nicole Eggert's in it. Amy Hathaway. Bill McKinney plays the preacher, and he usually plays like a crazy villain in Western movies and war movies. So there's like a lot of
Hyde White
Bronson
stops by.
Alex Hyde White is in this. And that's where I was like, okay, this is going into dark territory already, but Alex Hyde White's here, so everything's going to be okay, guys.
Nice
and then he's like, peace out, I can't be in the movie anymore. It would be too happy if I stayed.
Okay. You got anything else? Oh, I got a question for you. What do you think? Did this do theaters?
It did. It made $3.5 million against the dubious $5 million Canon budget. So it probably, and actually it probably didn't cost more because these guys were one of the only groups that wasn't just spazzing the cash. They're like, $5 million, sounds good. See you later.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We should probably put a disclaimer on this episode. A trigger disclaimer.
I'm going to skip the icky stuff.
There's some icky stuff.
There's only so much icky stuff you can skip.
Well,
like the really icky stuff, but there's some stuff you can't skip.
Thematically, we'll address the what this film is about, but we'll skip the details.
Here's my Jackie wants a disclaimer. I'm getting it. This is one of those that's like Zero Dark 30. You're gonna walk out of it with the same thing you walked into it, possibly multiplied anger wise.
Oh God. I think I have a different take than you guys.
Okay,
we'll see you at the end.
We'll see you at the end.
Okay, but are we ready? Everybody,
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So basically, what we got going on here is he doesn't even. He's Lieutenant Crow. Like that's all his name is Charlie Bronson.
Does not have a first name in the screenplay.
So I'm not even going to address him as his character's name. He's just Charlie Bronson. He is a vice cop. Him and his partner. And they have what appears to be a pre-established nemesis, like a relationship. Like, hey, you're a bad guy. I'm a tough cop. With this Duke guy. Duke is he's a pimp. Well, I mean, he's a pimp.
He's a pimp.
He's a sex trafficker.
Yeah, again
/ pimp.
He's a pimp. Pimps don't just wear big hats and velour and walk with a cane. They're all sex traffickers, Jackie. It's synonymous.
He's a sex trafficker.
Yeah, he is, but he's a pimp.
That's what pimps are.
He's a pimp.
Okay.
And again, you want to say he's a pimp of teenage girls, but again, that's redundant. He's a pimp.
He's a pimp.
Not Shaft Goes to Africa or Black Belt Jones style pimps. He's just a straight up regular LA pimp.
Piece of shit.
Yeah. So they're stalking him. What was that called when you sit out in the street?
Stakeout.
Okay, yeah. They're eating donuts in the car and looking at Duke, and he drops off a young Nicole Eggert at a hotel to go visit a John. They're like, hey, that girl looks too young. She looks like my daughter's age. And Nicole Eggert was 18 when this film was made.
Ooh, she looked super young.
Well, Nicole Eggert always looks.
I think
super young.
Amy Hathaway was too. I think they're young looking, but like there's the he's like, yeah, we're gonna make a movie about this, but we're not actually going to do that in this movie.
Right. Yeah. So they go in, and they find her with the John, to which the John is like, "You're not arresting me," and then tries to beat up a cop with a gun. Like, everybody wants to beat these cops up, and it's like, dude, none of you guys are qualified to. You're the wrong character to be beating up cops.
Yeah, you're an accountant with a giant dildo in your briefcase.
Yeah.
I don't think
Well-
you have what it takes.
No.
This is the part where cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Right. That's true.
Because he did like 4 lines first, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck these cops up, and they're like, work the buddy. Because that happens. Like, he's 68 and he looks at it, he's like, it's not, these punches aren't gonna come fast, but they're gonna land and you're not gonna like them.
So he beats the crap out of this John and then proceeds to rape him with his own dildo.
He rapes him in the ass with his own dildo off screen, thank God.
Yeah.
But that's right when you go, oh fuck, this is not a normal Charles Bronson
Usually
movie.
Charlie just shoots the guys when he's going above the law. Hey, that's Charles Bronson holding a huge dildo in a man's butt. Wow.
And he says, like, let's see how you like it.
So he pinned him down and took his time. Like, and then there's a shot of his partner taking Nicole Eggert away, and he looks over his shoulder, and his face screams to me, Tuesday.
Later on in the movie, you find out character-wise that this is Bronson. Why he's still on Vice is because he's just fucking Lone Ranger of ass-raping dudes with dildos, and they can't do it. They can't put him anywhere else. And the other guy's been stuck on Vice because he's on the take.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, okay, that's what he does. I take cash.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's why we're both stuck in this shit job.
And then, how are we even going to do this? This Hada-san sequence
Well,
that goes
before
on for
that, we have to.
three-quarters of the goddamn movie.
Yeah, there's like the culture of Japan, sort of.
Is that what they're trying to say? Something about Japan's panty fetish, or what?
I feel like what they were trying to do was like take the grotesque sexual nature of 2 different cultures and put them in front of you and go, guess what? This is all bad. We could add other cultures. This is all bad. But it doesn't really come across, I
No.
think. Instead, it's meandering and boring.
Gambling.
Before we get there, though, he goes home and he's like, honey, I did something bad at work today.
Oh.
And she says, oh, they probably just got the little Irish in you hard. I'm sure it's nothing that bad. And then they leave it at that. He's like, no, I raped a man with a dildo.
Actually, I believe it was a German penis that got hard and entered another man. Not Irish. It wasn't a little Irish. It was big and German. Mean. Yeah, he's also like, I think I'm going to lose my pension. And she's like, well, okie dokie.
We'll just go open a tavern so you can rape residents.
We'll move to Carmel and open a Wait, no, you don't just move to Carmel. You're a cop. You don't make enough money to live in Carmel.
Well, maybe that's how the times have changed.
I don't think so. 1989? Carmel, my understanding, Eastwood was the mayor of Carmel back in the 80s.
Maybe he cleaned it up. I don't know. Yeah. My uncle lived in Pismo because it was cheap.
Yeah, Pismo's not Carmel, though, bud.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pismo's not cheap
No,
anymore.
it's not cheap. Pismo's pretty nice, actually. I don't know. Either way, I don't think he gets to live on the coast. It's still on the coast, Sam. He's a cop, and he just lost his pension. I don't think he gets to just move to the coastline or open up a tavern in California at any point in history. Anyways, so this Tokyo guy, Hada-san, he's a businessman for some nondescript company that makes widgets, and he's not real good at being a person.
He's a piece of shit, too.
He's a sexist, misogynistic, dickbag who explains to his wife that he can do whatever he wants to other women and her because he provides a good living for his daughters.
Right.
He makes a lot of money, so he can have affairs, and it's all business.
And she's not good at the sex.
Yeah, and
that's why he has to go out with prostitutes.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that came across poorly in the presentation of this film was that they were trying to juxtapose what America is viewing, like, racially against, like, oh, that happens in Japan. And they're trying to go, oh, and in America, this happens. Which is fucking worse. They're both bad. How about that?
I think that might be trying.
Subway groping, not good.
It's just, it's so dubious and vague, and like, what are we? I mean, how are we supposed to feel about Hada at any point in this movie? Like, also, he's our sympathetic figure that the whole 30-minute plot of this film is based around. Are we supposed to be like, yes, he's a piece of shit, but you should also still empathize with somebody that has to go through such an awful experience?
Again, there's so much going on with this odd movie where you have these Shakespearean character journeys of the bad guy who makes a tragic flaw in the street, the drive-by shooting. And that you have this really long, tragic character journey of Hada, that he's never a good person and he's reaping what he's sown. But you also have Borderlands level boss fights. And a man getting a dildo crammed in his ass in the first 20 minutes.
Right, and then, like, Charles Bronson, after this, he comes home and he sees his daughter and she's got a boyfriend there, and he's like, hey, I don't think our daughter should be making out with boys. Also, if she ever wears a swimsuit, I think she should wear an entire bathrobe over it while she's swimming, because I don't want people looking at her body.
He's behaving like a 68-year-old man.
So,
and that's happening, and his wife's like, I married an old man. And then she makes awful jokes, like, what, was the zipper halfway down? And he's like, I just said she was 15. No blowjob jokes.
And so the movie is like also trying to say something about sexuality in women, and I don't know what it's doing. It's just, what are you trying here, guys?
It's just laying it out. They had like, let's just lay this out here. Plus it's a canon movie, so we have to have a video game boss fight.
You're a canon movie.
Well, and I think part of this scene was to show that his daughters were the Tokyo daughters were Hada's daughters were obedient and innocent and kept themselves clean. And his daughter, the American version of that,
she's a loose whore.
Yeah, she's a loose whore.
I don't think,
not really. She's just a kid.
She's just a kid. At no point in time does she ever like be like, oh, hey, Billy's parents are leaving for the weekend. I think I'm going to go over there and fuck him. She doesn't do anything like that.
No.
She just does 15-year-old girl things. And so maybe the film is trying to do that, but then it fails in that completely.
I don't know if it does. He's like, so you're telling me a college basketball player is dating my 15-year-old daughter? I don't like this. And then his wife's like, but this is America. And he's like, that's why I made this movie. It sucks. This is not right.
I don't know.
I'm going to shoot these men.
I'm going to go shoot do extracurricular justice. Because that's the one part I like about America, is that a cop can just shoot you.
Yeah.
All right, so they go to an arena football game, which was weird to see. And Duke is there. Duke and his man. Like, these guys can't stay away from each other. They're just like, oh, hey, you're here? Yeah, of course I'm here. We like all the same stuff.
Let's be friends.
So they're like, hey, you see that cop over there? He's got his daughter with him. Let's go fuck with him. I thought here, all right, good. The movie's actually going to start early. Duke is going to go kidnap his daughter, and this is going to have to be, like a Death Wish Part 6, basically. It doesn't. Duke just goes over to where he's the concession stand where Charlie Bronson's ordering a hot dog, and he's like, hey, hot daughter. Oh, yeah? Hot dog. shoves it in his face.
And then he elbows Cy Richardson and knocks him over, like elbows him in the face and takes him out. And his daughter and her best friend are like, "Your dad, go, he's badass. Just smashed hot dogs in that weird man's face."
Her friend looks at her and goes, "He is extreme." And they're like this is Full House.
Yeah.
Bob Saget. 2 in a row. So back in Tokyo, Hada gets on a subway and he sees a woman get sexually assaulted on the subway, but whether it's too crowded or it's Japanese culture or whatever, she doesn't scream or say anything. And he's like, "Hey, Japan's pretty cool. I'm horny and gross and awful to people. I guess it's cool here now. So I'm going to be gross and horny and awful to people more and get away with it. So let's go to LA. Like, why are you wanting to go to LA so bad, Hada? You seem to really thrive in this gross, sexually assaulty culture."
Well, there's also a part of his salary that, like, that's sort of like the making the big leagues in a salaryman's life is getting deployed. So he's going to see a lot of cash on this assignment.
Right. And someday I'll come back to Tokyo where I can really be a scumbag some more.
Yeah, he'll be able to sit in the corner office and just be nefarious until his retirement.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Soapland on the weekends. And
what the hell is Soapland?
Oh, you missed that episode too, huh? Watch the QAnon conspiracy documentary on HBO. You'll learn about Soapland.
Oh my god!
We're not going to address it here.
It just sounds really dirty.
Well, it's a place called Soapland, and it's in Japan. Put things together.
Okay, he slipped and fell on a bar stool.
That's what you do at Soapland. Whoop! Comedy hijinks. Don't ever go to Banana Kingdom. Okay, so Bronson, he, again, just cut to this. Bronson's like, "Hey, Duke, I'm in your car. Drive." And Duke's like, "What are you doing here? Are you going to arrest me?" "No, drive out to this abandoned lot."
Oh, but he does preface to make this completely fair and legal. I'm not doing this for the department.
Right.
Or for my job.
Uh-huh.
I just fucking hate you.
This is just between you and me.
I just fucking hate you.
Yep. So Duke is like, "Hey, man, you're a cop. You don't make very much money, and I hear you want to open up a tavern in Carmel. It's pretty expensive up there. It's next to Monterey. Monterey's not exactly a cheap place either, but now you're building houses on stilts. You're going to need some help, bud, with this plan. And I know what pensions get. You know, it's enough to put bombs on buses. So, here's your watch. Here's a watch. You start with this. You get a gold watch and you put it on a bomb, and then you put it on a bus. And that bus will take you to Carmel, and then you can open up your tavern." And Charles Bronson's like, "I don't like gold watches."
He says this: "I'd shove this up your ass, but I'd dirty my hands." And then there's a long awkward pause. Yeah, and then there's a long awkward pause, and he goes, "You're gonna eat this."
It's so weird.
And then he fucking makes him eat it, and the guy's like, "I'm gonna die," and I'm like, "He is gonna die. You can't swallow a watch."
Even if you get it past that, you got to poop it out at some point. You got to get surgery.
Yeah. Then Bronson turns to him and he goes, "No, you won't. But you will have to stick your head between your legs to read the time." I fall out of my chair laughing. Because that's like an FU to all of the liners out there. Like, "I made a man swallow a watch, so he had to look at his own ass to see what time it is." Like, FU, Schwarzenegger, Eastwood, all of them.
And then he dumps a bunch of trash in his car, and Duke is like, "What are you doing with that?" He's like, "I'm lighting your car on fire."
Fuckhead.
"You're gonna stop pimping, or I'm gonna kill you." And then he just walks away, and Duke is like, "Bad day."
He's trying to be like, "You are gonna get my justice. I'm gonna fucking kill you." And Bronson's like, "Whatever, pal. I just burnt your car down and made you eat a watch. How do you think it's gonna go next time?"
All right, so Hada, he arrives in LA, And his family's moved there now, and some time goes by before we even deal with them. Just know that they're there. And Duke and his man, sometime later, they scope out some fresh off the bussers. They're just cruising the streets looking for people that they can sex traffic. And they see two fresh off the bussers looking around, and like they're headed directly towards Sunset Boulevard, and the jungle's about to eat them up. It's about to swallow open its maw, and Guns N' Roses is gonna grab them and pull them in, and the jungle song.
They're cake sniffers.
DNR. Yeah, they're fresh off the bus, man. They're gonna have to.
They can't afford the deli.
Yeah. Joe's Deli.
They go to a deli and start breathing on the window like they're freaking Oliver Twist. Please, sir.
I kind of liked that part.
Can we have some of your meats?
Are you going to finish that?
We'll eat out of the dumpster. We're not above it.
That food does look quite delicious.
It's a sandwich. I'm pretty sure, like, if you've made the bus trip to LA, you probably should have brought enough money to at least buy a sandwich. You're not going to make it.
Maybe they were robbed on the bus.
I don't know. So he's like, oh, that's perfect. And then they move away from the window, and Charles Bronson is sitting inside enjoying some of those delicious sandwiches. And they're like, hey, look, there he is. Hand me my Uzi. They shoot the freaking place up.
They don't kill anybody but Joe from the
They
deli.
killed Joe. And it was not just a joke. It's not like, hey, that old guy that looks like he might be good at making sandwiches, that's probably Joe. Later in the chief's office, he's like, you killed Joe, my sandwich
he's
man.
Like, you killed... Joe's blood is on your hands. And then Bronson is like, and his mustard is on my tie.
and Duke's face. Oh, my God. Yeah, so Joe's dead. And they swear vengeance.
Sandwiches.
Everybody's supposed to, because Bill McKinney, the preacher, he likes Joe's Deli too. He's getting the sandwiches. Everybody gets Joe's Deli in the movie. So this is like revenge time.
I mean, one could argue that the plot actually starts here if it didn't take this other direction of trying to tell us that society is sexually gross. It could just be a simple revenge plot, guys. Could have been a fun movie.
In the movie, it kind of is, because before he's just freelancing, going over the line on this Vice assignment, but now it's hit home. They've taken one of theirs, Joe from the deli, and they mean business. Even the captain's like, no more bullshit. Also, get that son of a bitch that killed Joe.
That dirty motherfucker.
Because it is. They got him for murder now.
It's true.
That's the thing. They had shit on him before. Now they got him for murder. Go out and do some work.
Yeah.
Or maybe we should get the murder guys on this. I don't know.
So Hadda, he's enjoying America thoroughly. He's drunk all the time, out with prostitutes, and he's grabbing some boob here and there, and he ends up on a bus too drunk. And hey, look, it's Charles Bronson's daughter's there. Okay, this movie's maybe going to tie some things together. Well, he tries the bus thing from Japan with her, and she screams, and which then causes the bus to stop. Everybody pile out, and a rumble to erupt out in the streets.
This is great because she screams. He's like, oh, fuck, I got to get out of here. And then the nun sister's like, what happened? And she's like, a man touched me. He was an Oriental. And she's like, that's for rugs. They're Asians. Is it? I don't know. I was told that by a white person, so it's unreliable information. And then a guy in denim on denim's like, isn't these sons of bitches? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. The Canadian tuxedo is the uniform of street justice. And then there's a brawl erupts.
A rumble.
They just all start fighting each other.
Oh, man. Is this Sunset Boulevard in 1989? I mean, is this the jungle?
This is why street justice shouldn't happen, because it always goes sideways.
And then Hadda's like, whew, man, that was close. I almost go, oh, God, a mugger. And a mugger grabs him. In the middle of the street, cops pull up, and the guy is just like doing the Homer Simpson sliding into the bushes thing.
Yeah.
Like, oop-de-doop-de-doo.
Yeah, there's real crime happening, but the guy in the Canadian tuxedo serving up street justice is obstructing the police's ability to stop it. There's a lot of things about society that's said in this movie.
And then he goes home and has sex with his wife.
Weird.
For the first time. This is awful, actually. He goes home and he's like, I am not a man anymore. And then she gets on top of him and he comes instantly. And then she gets sad and she looks at him and she's like, after so many years, why now? And then he says like, oh, I'm vulnerable or something. And like starts to hug her. And I'm like, what a horrible marriage.
Yeah, exactly. So weird. So Bronson, he gets pissed at every Asian person on the planet.
Yeah, he goes to like a hotel and just starts yelling at Japanese people.
You're ruining the country. You don't belong here. This is LA, not Tokyo.
You're fucking double parked. You're fucking double parked. You are obstructing the walkway. You're obstructing the thoroughfare. And for God's sakes, you're all obstructing me.
Yeah. And while we're on the subject, there's no replacement for displacement. Your little turbos, get them out of here. I like a big block.
Then a skyline blows by at 180 and he's like, shit, that's fast.
Because that's what he's like. I mean, I totally thought he was going to start like dissing Japanese cars.
He was almost there, but he did. It's like real. Like he's like, you're obstructing me. Like I never had a problem with his character because he's playing it. He's like, oh, fuck, I'm racist. Fuck.
Okay, so some days later, Duke is stalking Hatta's daughter. He sees her and is like, that's one I could steal. And so he's like, hey, teenage girl who is later declared to be in high school. You seem like you are stupid and would get in a car with a stranger. Get in this car. And she's like, okay. And she is kidnapped and sex trafficked. And at no point does she go, no.
Yeah, she doesn't scream. She's completely obedient.
I mean, is she just an idiot? Or are they trying to say that we're glossing over the unrealism here? Or that Japanese girls are just, if a man says something to you, you do what he says? I just don't, it's weird. But anyways, so we're going to skip over a bunch of things that are not fun to her, but essentially, long story short, she's turned into a prostitute.
Yes, 3 times over.
Yeah. So Dad, Hatta, calls the cops, of course, and Charlie Bronson finds out about it, and like immediately, and he's like, I can't be on this case. I hate all Asians. Their food is not good, and I prefer Denon over Sony. So
yeah. And the captain's like, oh, you think you're racist? Well, you're wearing an LAPD badge. Now go back to your job.
That's why we hired you.
It's like, fuck, I need to change as a person.
We got 2 departments here. Cops that beat up black people and cops that beat up Asian people. You're on the Asian side. So what do you think you're here for?
I was trying to change my heart. It takes time, according to Steven Seagal and Mike Starr.
I was on a new path. I'm headed up to Carmel. I'm gonna say Asians are welcome on Tuesdays. That's the next step, okay?
Everyone can come in, provided they give me money. Hello, good sir. That's what I'll say.
So he meets with Hatta, and he's a total racist piece of shit to him. And he's like, of course your daughter was kidnapped. You're Japanese. You're ruining this country. It's your fault, you son of a bitch, because your face and your efficient transportation system and superior education for your children and your earthquakes and tsunamis. And it's your fault. Your daughter was kidnapped in America. Okay, so, and then he's like, they leave and he's like, man, I was really happy to get out of there. Why? Because you don't like Asians? No, I don't like people with emotions.
Yeah.
I don't like, that guy was crying and she was crying and I just don't go for that stuff. You know?
That's hard shit to deal with. I'm going to go kill some guys now.
People.
And what's weird is that he doesn't even like think, oh, it's Duke. I'm just going to go find
Right.
Duke.
Right. This guy I've been, my nemesis that he and I have been steadily escalating our war against each other on. I mean, I worked outside of the law. It's not like I have a problem with not getting a warrant and going to his place, busting in the door and start fucking some shit up. I have no problem with that. I lit his car on fire and made him swallow a watch. Nope, I don't think it's Duke. This just doesn't seem like his thing. His thing is trafficking underage girls. Potato, potato, you know? It just doesn't feel right.
I think he only markets in whites.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a suspect.
Okay. So then they get radioed that Kimiko, the daughter, has been spotted at the Palms Hotel. And so they run in there real quick. And it appears to be actually a case of mistaken identity, maybe some racism. They all look the same. And also a porn shoot for the worst, most boring porn that's ever existed.
Yeah, I expect better from men on that much cocaine.
Right. Okay.
This is like those boring Playboy free DVDs where they're just like, I'm naked and somebody's putting a feather on me. I'm like, this is not doing a thing for me.
Right. Oh, weird. And so they bust in and they're like, hey, look, you got a bunch of coke over here and naked ladies. You're all under arrest. I've got a freaking 45 pointed at you. And then the porn crew guys are like, hell no, we're not going down. We're porn crew guys. We have, I don't know if you know much about porn crew guys, but we have a bit of reputation for being the toughest beast men that have ever lived. Said no one ever.
Again, with cocaine being a hell of a drug, they're like, we're going to fuck these cops up. And he's like, work the body, work the body.
I mean, if you've ever seen a behind the scenes of a porn shoot, everybody that works in porn behind the camera are D&D players. I mean, they are the nerdiest of nerds. None of them are tough guys.
No, they would have been like, oh yeah, sorry. I guess you're going to have to arrest the producers for their massive consumption of cocaine. Right. I just work here.
I hold the camera. I'm the boom mic guy. I am not equipped to fight cops that have guns.
If you hear the sounds that are going into my ears right now, you would think they should take this out of the movie.
So they beat the crap out of these porn shoot guys because they attack them. It's hilarious. But of course they roll the naked lady over and it's not Fumiko. She's just high on cocaine and doing boring porn. She's got it pretty good, actually. Like, ooh, sorry.
She didn't even get up during this toss. She's like, oh, hey, I figured I'd stay still because this is just a porn shoot. I don't know why everybody else got so freaked out.
Nobody yelled cut. She's the Marlon Brando of porn.
I was staying in character. They said pretend I was dead and another naked lady would put a feather on my butt. I don't see how that's hot.
But hey, I am a professional.
I'm just acting.
I am the Andy Kaufman of Playboy videos. Oh my god. Okay, so they don't have a lead. So he goes back to this church and he meets with Nicole Eggert. And he's like, hey, that Duke guy's a real scumbag. And she's like, actually, he was pretty cool. Well, he took you away from your parents. Well, my dad beat me and molested me from the age of 12.
Yeah, him and his friends passed me around like a Coke can.
Okay, well, how about school? No, we had to do gun shooting drills all the time. And somebody did come in and shoot up the place. So school sucked. Oh, how about your boyfriend? My boyfriend died in Vietnam. Okay, what else do I got? Dog? No, dog got hit by a car. Oh. Yeah, I guess Duke was a better option for you. I'll go now.
There's a lot of this. It's like, yeah, this is what's happening. And he's like, fuck, I'm an old man. Why is this happening?
But she does give him a little clue that Duke sometimes goes to this gentleman's warehouse at night to play dice.
He only buys his pants from Rosario's.
And plays dice in the evenings. at a gentleman's warehouse. You're gonna like the way you look. Also, let's shoot some bones. I guarantee it. I mean, what? Who plays dice at a pants store?
You've got nothing better to do. I guarantee it.
But then she calls Rosario's and is like, hey, you might want to tell Duke that a couple cops are on their way. Oh, yeah? Why? How'd you get that information? Because I told him, all right, we'll send somebody over to take you out right now. Rub them out. You can't rat him out to the cops and then be like, oh, by the way, Duke, cops are coming. So Duke pulls up and they tail him. And he goes, he knows that they're onto him. And so he pulls into a parking garage. They can't get into the parking garage. So they go to the front desk of this apartment building. And the security guard's like, I don't know who you're talking about. We got all sorts of people to live here. And Charles Bronson's like, oh, yeah? Well, how about a statue to the face? And so he grabs a statue and throws it at the security guard guy. And the security guard guy's like, go to room 109. And they go up to room 109.
Yeah. He actually goes, give me the room number, shitface.
And so that cop, or that security guard, calls up to Duke, and he's like, yeah, there's a couple cops on their way up there. And so Duke gets all his stuff together, and a couple of his bitches, and leaves, and leaving his man there to deal with Fumiko. And his man's like, hey, get out of here, we gotta go. And Fumiko's like, I locked myself in the bathroom. And then Charles Bronson comes in, and he's like, hey, where's Duke? And his man is like, screw you. Oh, yeah? Well, I'll shove a watch up your butt and a dildo down your throat. I'm not telling you shit,
so
cop.
They do the dance like, oh, you ain't got nothing. You got to have to take me in, da-da-da-da-da. And then Bronson looks at his partner and he gives him the wink and he's like, let's throw this guy over the balcony. And then he's like, oh, shit, you're playing hardball. Okay, no, I don't know anything. I really don't.
Put me down.
And then they fucking drop him on accident.
He was slipping in his fancy Italian leather boots.
It's like, put me down, guys.
And they look.
And they're like, hey, give us the dirt. Give us the, whoa, wait, where'd you go?
When he slips and falls and they look at each other, Bronson does some of his only acting in the movie where he's like, oh, shit. He has that look on his face. And the other guy's like, this is why we don't do this. We do this every time we do this. We lose the guy. We're old. We can't hold him over the balcony anymore.
And that just goes away. That whole thing goes away.
The girl hears all of the commotion and she comes out and watches it. And she's like, oh, that sucks for that guy. Also, you have found me. I am sorry I have put you through this trouble. And they're like, well, we found her, so we can say that there was something that happened that ended up with him over there,
yeah.
I guess. Because that was fucking
murder. So what's
murder.
that guy doing down there? I don't know, man. We showed up and he just ran and jumped out the balcony.
He took his shoes off and went for it.
Yeah, and then handed his shoes to us, and that's why we're holding them. So he's like, hold my shoes, I'll be back for him later. But I don't think he's coming back for them.
He made it into the pool, but it didn't. It was too far up. He's dead still. Maybe he thought he was going to get away.
Or, he's trying out, he's seeing Greg Louganis. Shoes aren't good for diving. What? Now watch this. Hold my beer. Did you hear him say hold my beer? Because I'm pretty sure I heard him say that. He's dead. We'll be going now. Internal affairs. Goodbye. This is all wrapped up. All right, so sometime later, Mr. and Mrs. Hada, they drop off a gift at the Bronson family's house. And the daughter's like, that's the dude that tried to finger me on the bus. And he's like, oh, crap, that's the girl that I tried to finger on the bus. And then nothing happens with that.
I think if the present would have been shit, she would have ran out that door and been like, that's him!
Yeah, because he leaves and she opens up the present and it's like this really cool kabuki doll. And she's like, no, I like this a lot.
I want to give it back. It's evidence.
Feel like there's this whole thing where they're staring at each other and it's supposed to be like we see her see his regret and know how much she knows the regret now because his daughter just got turned into a prostitute.
But that doesn't come across at all.
Yeah, she just shuts up and she's like, oh, I got free shit.
And then I guess Famiko kills herself? I don't...
Yeah, she, in the most horrible fashion, this is actually, I think, the hardest thing to watch in the movie, is that she had snuck some heroin out with her. And then she dresses up ceremonially, shoots up heroin, and then ties her legs together before she ODs and dies. It is...
What?
I was like, oh,
What
God.
is the tying the legs together thing?
I'm guessing that was something she felt she needed to do after the things that had happened to her.
These aren't opening ever again? Like, it's symbolic?
Yeah, nobody's going to ever touch me like that again.
Huh.
It's awful.
And it almost...
It is hard to watch.
It also makes...
I thought it was weird and dubious.
I thought it was, like, ceremonial, I've shamed my family.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm no longer clean.
Uh-huh.
That's what I kind of took from it.
Yeah, I think it just could have been delivered better. But
I just thought it was just a horrible, like, it was very much the victim blamed herself.
Oh, yeah, totally.
For what had happened
Right.
to her.
Yeah, I just think it could have been delivered better. It just wasn't delivered very well. None of this is. It's all very heavy stuff, and none of it is handled.
I feel like if they delivered any of it as hard as they could have delivered, this movie would be fucking unviewable, and you'd barf on yourself the whole time it was on.
It should be. When you go down this road, this should be the goddamn Deerhunter. And instead, it's a comic book.
Yeah,
It sucks.
It's Bronson movie.
God damn it. Okay, so they then very dubiously piece together where Duke is, because she left a poem that was written in Japanese.
That's a haiku.
Yeah, it's a haiku. And she's like, I'm a little boat that goes over the horizon, and there's a big boat. And he's like, she's the little boat because she's from Japan. They're on the other side of the ocean, so that's the horizon. And then there's a big boat. She's telling us he's on a boat. Hey, what's that thing that guy had in his pocket? It's Tampico, Long Beach, and we thought it was a restaurant. That's got to be the name of a boat. And it's like, oh, God damn it, this is stupid.
And then the captain's like, Tampico's hot sauce, you nutsacks.
No, Tampico is juice. You're thinking of Tapatio.
Okay.
Tampico is delicious orange drink.
It is, you're right.
So they go down to Long Beach and they find the Tampico, and they're on it, and they get spotted because Duke just happens to have military style binoculars. They're huge, like you can see the craters of the moon with these binoculars.
These are really nice
binoculars. And he's like, okay, let's get out of here. Let's get in the car. And they're like, well, they're blocking the only way. Oh, don't worry about it. And a crane comes down, and it smashes into Bronson's car, and it stabs his partner with its clawy bits, and it's pulling him up, and it's going to drop him, and Charles Bronson climbs out onto the crane just in time for the car to drop to the ground and get smashed.
He climbs out on the crane, and so now what you have happening, and the crane operator is still trying to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a 68-year-old Bronson on a crane, shooting down with a snub-nosed 357. And he takes the driver out of the limousine on their escape attempt. Right. And that guy crashes. So the drug with a pimp is like, everybody get the fuck out of this car. I'm taking it over.
Why? Why do we have to go
out?
Well,
he's taking the car. He's like, you're not going to want to go where I'm going.
In circles. I'm going in circles.
They're like, okay, that sounds reasonable.
I hate circles.
Meanwhile, Bronson has shot the man running the crane, and now the crane, which in a couple shots you can see it tethered because they're swinging it around so fast the claw would become too dangerous. Right. The crane has become part of the boss fight. It's now the environmental object that must be stopped, but it's difficult to concentrate on the actual boss, who has just started tearing ass all over the harbor, willy-nilly style, in a limousine.
He's not trying to get away.
He's not. He's just becoming hard to shoot. And that's why this is now a video game boss fight. It's like the timer goes on if you're in challenge mode right now at this point.
Of course, every boss fight in every video game has to have exploding barrels. Guess what? This one does too.
Oh, yeah. It's part of the thing is that if you have environmental hazards, you have to use the environment to defeat many of the foes or obstacles because it's an environmental hazard. So it just works out like, oh, If the environment is attacking me as well as the boss, I have to use the environment to my effective strategy.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my gun really close to the ground and shoot off a bullet.
Because I guess there was gasoline at someplace leaking from someplace.
Well, with the crane spinning around, we're seeing how much damage that claw is doing to everything around them. So there's like spilled gas, there's sparks shooting everywhere, there's like large things falling, it's breaking buildings, knocking shit over. Meanwhile, there's a guy on cocaine just hooning around in a limousine.
Right.
And he's got his guys are like freelancing now. They're like, I guess we're going to shoot this guy. And they take cover behind a bunch of gasoline. And Bronson's like, that's stupid. Explode now.
And it all boils down to finally the crane knocking everything over, and Charles Bronson has nowhere to go. He's down by the water, and Duke is about to run him over and guns it, and then the crane comes and smashes Duke and his limo into the harbor. And he's out in the water. Help me, I can't swim. I'm a pimp, and we're not supposed to be wet.
Yeah, and it's funny because you see Bronson crack a smile, and the camera there's a jib raise where you just start to see all of the destruction caused by not calling for fucking backup when you found him. And you're like, I guess he's going to let him drown because he's that kind of a guy. And the movie's like, no, wait a jiff.
Yeah, so I guess he dives in and gets him and takes him to jail and puts him in the rapey section of prison. That's what you get. Oh, hey, and there's Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo's like, I'm going to have sex with your bud.
And I think the guy that he ends up in the cell with was the Iron Sheik.
I couldn't tell who that guy was, but it wasn't the Iron Sheik.
Sure looked like the Iron Sheik.
He's a Hollywood heavy, if nothing else. But yeah, he's like, shut up. I hate when people bitch when I'm raping them. And he's yelling, fuck you, Bronson, the whole time.
Right. And that's the end of the movie. Poetic justice. See how you like it. One time I shoved a dildo up a John's ass, like he does. Now you're going to get... Yeah. I'll see myself out. You know what you're going to get? You're going to get some titties drawn on your back. All right, that's the movie.
That's the movie.
Questions. Jackie.
Ew.
Okay. Question mark? You? Question mark. Yes.
It was just the whole thing when you break it down is just so disgusting.
Sam.
I don't have any questions.
I have one. How does the Amazon Prime star rating system work? Because this movie, out of 5 stars, had a 4.5. But then right next to it, it shows the IMDb star rating, which is out of 10, is a 5.5. So I'm like, where does that star rating on Amazon Prime come from? I can't rate this movie on Amazon Prime. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to the website. Maybe it's there. I look it up on Amazon Prime. It says currently streaming, and on my phone, and it's got a 5.5 star rating on Amazon. So where's that 4.5 come from? Because this isn't the first time I've noticed this huge, massive discrepancy between the star system on Amazon Prime and IMDb and the quality of the movie itself.
I feel like what's happening with the star system here is that a bunch of people that have wanted to see this for a long time finally got to see it.
And so where did that rating come from? Because you can't rate it.
They all liked it, I guess.
You can't rate it, Sam. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know that.
You can't give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down like you can on Netflix or star rating or anything, even if you go to their website, because that website has a different star rating than the star rating that shows up on the Amazon Prime app. I don't know where those stars came from. Makes no sense. That's my question.
We're not able to rate things. Or at least my account is blocked. I'm not able to give ratings on Amazon.
I don't think you can.
No,
I don't
not
think
even
anybody
on
can.
products.
You can't rate and review on products on the website?
Nope.
Weird.
It says that when I try to leave like a positive review for something that I like, it says that your account has been deactivated from rating.
Wow. You got canceled. Call Jim Jordan.
Like, we require no more of your opinions. Thank you.
We get enough of it on your podcast.
Well, it happened when I left a very negative rating for a dress company that tried to fucking scam me.
Uh-huh.
And I put the whole thing on the website.
You put them on blast.
Yeah.
And they were like, nope.
And Amazon was like...
That's not what this rating system is for, ma'am.
Yeah, you can't say that you returned the dress and then they handed it to an employee and then they still said that they never got the dress.
Yep, you got canceled. Okay, why are we talking about this? Anyways, final recommendations, I guess, is where we're going to move to. And I'm going to go first because this is how I want to handle this. This isn't a good movie. And it's not just because of its icky material. It's because it's not a good movie. Mistakes were made all over the place because, again, the plot of the movie, the best I could come up with is Fumiko's kidnapping. And that takes place at minute 55. There isn't a plot. It's just wandering, ambling character studies that have nothing to do with anything for 55 out of 137 minutes. Or not 137 minutes. It would be 97.
Social realism injected into an action movie, and it doesn't really work at all.
Right. So, like... the handling of Fumiko is bad. It's not, we know what's going on with her, but it's still treated fairly with kid gloves. It wants, again, I directly compare it to the Deerhunter. It's trying to be the Deerhunter, but it doesn't want to be and isn't willing to go the distance and make the movie about one goddamn thing. Even if it is icky, it's just, hey, I'm a cop and I'm above the law, and it's part Death Wish, it's part icky stuff, it's part fun. Yeah, you like action movies, right? And it could have been done better, and it could have honestly have been a good movie if it had been focused, and it wasn't.
If it had been made by 3 guys that weren't on the last nickel that they got from Canon, right? It's standard fare for these 3. They gave it a little bit harder of a try than they did because they found the script to be interesting.
Yeah.
But they were all 68 to almost 80 when they made this.
Think about Hada and Bronson. That character entwining, and compare it to a movie that I don't necessarily like, but it did win all the Oscars. Crash. Loose slice of lives that end up being all connected together, blah, blah, blah. But his hatred for Asian people and then his empathy for this father who's had sexually assaulted his own daughter isn't run with at all. It's avoided. It's wrapped up in a box that has a kabuki doll in it, literally. And it's dude, that's actually a really good plot line. And instead you wanted to shoot people in the face with guns and throw mustard at pies and just have this weird rivalry between Duke and Bronson that doesn't really mean anything to us.
And Charles Bronson always wanted to make movies that weren't Charles Bronson, but nobody wanted that. So this is as close as he probably ever got.
It could have been wow, Charlie Bronson went out on top. There's something here that could have been good, legit good. And it was a Canon movie instead, which is sad. I can't recommend this at all. It has its moments where they drop the guy is whoa, funny. The boss fight at the end is the watch, but the rest of it, it's so ambly, and it's not even the icky stuff that bothers me to say don't watch, because lots of movies have icky stuff. Again, the Deerhunter. But no, it's just too boring. Don't. Jackie.
I'm going to give it a do.
Wow.
I just really found the humor in this movie. You can't get away from it. Joe from the deli, the watch.
Joe from the deli.
Burning up his car.
Uh-huh.
I mean, There's just something satisfying about seeing like a complete fucking piece of shit for a human being just go through some really awful shit, and you're like, ha, eat shit, motherfucker. I hope that the next guy that comes around helps you get the watch out of your butt. that mugger guy comes around, he's like, give me your watch and wallet. It's stuck up my butt.
That's our question. Is it still up there? I mean, where is the watch?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he really had time to go out and
Because you certainly, if you're going to pass a watch, the last place you want to pass a watch is in prison, right?
I don't think you can pass. I don't think you can get a watch in your stomach.
I don't know. I mean, our dog ate a freaking turkey baster and it was huge.
Yeah, but dogs have a throat that is meant to swallow things whole. Humans do not.
I guess we do have to chew. I'm not sure.
So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. It's those little moments that you just are like, yeah.
Okay, interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Sammy.
Well, I think if you're a Bronson person, it's a must. There's not that many of you out there.
Sure aren't.
I think it's probably a do for me because by the time it gets to the end of it, they didn't go there where they could have gone that would have made it like I need to lay on my side and think about life for 2 hours after it's over. And because of how much of a mess it is, like that was the only problem I had with it is I thought I was going to feel as bad as it at the Deerhunter. In fact, I actually listened to Heavy Things by Fish afterwards to sort of like calm down. And, but I, not only do I recommend it, I think it's a do. I think I am going to watch it again.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. I wish it was one or the other instead of two movies mashed into one. If it was the revenge story of Joe's Deli, I would have loved it. If it was a dark introspective, I probably would have liked it, but instead it's a comedy mashed into a sex prostitution thing, and it's not. To get where Jackie is, I laughed out loud like 5 times by myself. I did too. So yeah, I guess it's at best I will say that it's just barely not a do from me. So if 2 out of 3 Stinker Madness hosts say do, it's probably a do then. So not that I'm changing. But anyways, next week is Jackie's pick. I'm assuming you've got nothing lined up.
You would be right, sir.
Oh,
Jackie, Sheena just came on Amazon.
Sheena?
Yeah, the spinoff of Beastmaster.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Just came on.
Sheena is a punk rocker.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally watching that. I'm going to find something.
Okay. All right. Well.
I should mention before we go, because I did have to do a little bit of Amazon digging to revisit what's been gone, what's now here. A movie that I had a very hard time not picking and I will never pick because I think it's actually a pretty good movie. Just showed up on Prime. Again, I think it was there for a while, but it hasn't been in a long time. Dead and Buried is on Prime, and if you've never seen Dead and Buried, stop what you're doing right now and watch Dead and Buried.
Cool. Good movie. All right, that's your show. Enjoy your week, guys. Get to the chocolate.